Hey YouTube, alright, let me zoom out over there. Here's a 32-inch digital research television that somebody gave me. It doesn't work. Let's see if I can fix this thing. The symptoms were that the TV set was working, but it was taking a long time for it to power on. Now with the TV set, the newer sets or monitors, you have your display, you've got your circuitry, and you've got a power supply. And the power supply, of course, powers everything. And normally on a TV set, most of your problems are power supplies because you're dealing with some heavy-duty voltages. And that makes a lot of sense with this situation. The TV set was turning on slowly, and that would tell you that the power supply is maybe not working anymore. It's components in there are defective. So I've opened up the TV set. I'll show that to you later when I open it up again. But I opened up the TV set and I pulled out the power supply board, and I'm going to go over there and show you the power supply board. Okay, I'm back. I've got the power supply board out on the table. I don't know if this is going to fix it. I don't know what's going to happen with this repair, but I thought, you know, rather than throw out a couple $100 TV set, let me see if I can make an attempt to work on this thing. The power supplies, you have to be really careful. You could kill yourself with the voltage in these power supplies if you touch the parts and they're still charged up. So you got to be really careful. If you don't want to kill yourself, my advice is don't do this. But if you know what you're doing, if you have some experience, then okay. So here's the power supply. Let me turn it over. Notice I'm only using one hand and not two so that it will not complete a circuit through my body and kill me. All right, let me try to zoom in here a little bit. Can I zoom in? You see those little black cans over there? These, let me point to them. These things, these are electrolytic capacitors. These things take up a charge. They build up a charge, they filter the circuitry, but they build up a high charge, and we've got some over here too. We've got 4 of them over there, and then we've got 7 of them over here. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show this well. I'm on a high-def camera, but I don't know how well this is going to come out. Let me try to get a good picture here. Let me zoom in. It's not focusing well. There we go. I think that's going to show up on the video. Look at those 7 capacitors. You see the 2 on these. I'm doing this with the viewfinder, so it's very awkward to look. These 2 look fine. Yeah, the top is flat. That little indentation over there, everything looks good. These 2 look fine. This looks fine. Look at these 2 over here. They're bubbling out. Let me try to zoom in on that and get that focused. You see how they're bubbled out? Trying to get this to focus. I don't know if it will. Nope, doesn't want to. Alright, there we go. There we go. Alright, you can see the difference. I know you'll be able to see this on the video. So the 2 on the right, on the far right, are bubbled on the top, which means that they're leaking. They haven't exploded. Sometimes these things explode, or they burn up, or they melt. These haven't exploded, but they are 99% chance these are defective now. They're not filtering. They might be shorted out. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. Let's look at the others. The other 4 look fine. There's no bubbling on the top. So, yeah, this is. I'm just taking a chance that this is what the problem is. Now, the values on these are 1,000 microfarad at 16 volt. Now, with an electrolytic capacitor, 16 volt, that's the lowest rating. So if you go to a store and you buy something that is 35 volt, that's okay. It's double the capacity of voltage, and that's a safe thing. 1,000 microfarad, that's 1,000, and then a little u and a capital F. That's the rating for this component. You can buy stuff like this at Radio Shack, and 1,000 microfarad, you could probably even go to 1,200 microfarad, 1,500 microfarad. I don't think it would cause a problem with the circuit. It shouldn't. It's just more filtering. But 1,000 microfarad, 16 volt is what's in here, and as you see, 2 of these are bubbling. So what I've done This video is kind of backwards because I didn't know if I was going to do a video, but I thought, yeah, I want to help people out in YouTube land. So what I've done is I've gone down to Radio Shack. I could have bought this stuff much cheaper online. But I went out to Radio Shack and I bought a 1,000 microfarad electrolytic capacitor. And you can see these leads coming out. That's called radial. The leads come out from one side. There's axial, where the leads would come out from one side, from each side. But this has a radial capacitor, and this is rated at 35 volts, 1,000 microfarad. So what I'm going to do now is, since I see these two capacitors, I have no certainty that this is going to fix the problem. If it doesn't, I wasted $4.50. Most good electronic shops, you could probably buy these parts for about 40-50 cents. But this is a spur of the moment. I'm going to try to fix this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at these capacitors on the top, and then I'm going to go figure out where the connections are on the bottom, and then I'm going to go in there with solder wick. If you've never done soldering before, it's not hard, it's not easy. You just don't want to ruin the board, you don't want to melt the board, but at this point the TV set's a piece of garbage. It's not working, so you take your chances, really. So I'm going to find out which connections on the bottom of the board need to be unsoldered. I'm going to put solder wick or solder braid, some braid material on there to remove the solder and remove the two components, and then I'm going to put the new components in there. I'm going to solder them up, and then I'll come back and show you the board with the two new parts on it. Then I'll open the TV set back up. Like I said, I wasn't expecting to do all this today, or at all. Open up the TV set case again, put the circuit board in there. You'll see where the circuit board is. We'll plug everything together, and then power up the thing, and it's either going to blow up, or it's going to catch on fire, or it's going to come on, and I will have fixed a TV set for about $4.25. So, to be continued in a moment. Alright, here we are again. Let's see. Capacitors are removed. Where are they? Right over there. You see, there used to be 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I took 2 of them out. I don't know if you can see the whole. You know, you can see the little, for the 4 little white dots with the light shining through the board. That's where those 2 other components were. Kind of have them marked with red over here. So that's where I removed these 2 electrolytic capacitors with my soldering iron. So not that hard of a job to do if you know how to solder and unsolder. Some people would totally wipe this board out, others would have no problem. So I'm going to go put the new parts in there, and we'll solder them up and continue the video. Okay, we are back. Can you see this thing? I think you can. You can see the leads are popping up now out of the bottom of the board. I've soldered in the 2 components. I'm going to cut the leads in a minute. I should cut them before I crush them on the bottom here. But I want to show you. There's a little line on here. See this gray line? That's the minus side. You got to make sure you put these parts in the right way, minus to the minus and plus to the plus. Put them in the way you took them out, because if you reverse them, when you turn the power on, this thing will blow like a firecracker and probably blow a hole in the board and ruin the whole thing completely. All right, you can see the parts over here now. They are totally flat, unlike the bubbled part that I took out. And the other thing you can see is the size. The part that I took out is a 16 volt, and the part that I put in is a 35 volt. I had to push these in. I had to squeeze them into the space, which is not a big deal. Luckily, I had enough space, or I would have figured something else out. But I was able to squeeze those 2. You can see they're almost touching. No big deal. It's not going to heat up, and it's got enough capacity with the double voltage. Everything should be fine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go cut the leads on the bottom, and then I'm going to open up the TV set, and then we'll continue with the install and see if this fixes it. And you will see live with me if it works or not. Okay, I'm back. Here's the TV set that's opened. Power supply board was mounted on these 4 screws, and I removed the board. These 2 cables were plugged in. You can see how I wanted to make sure that I didn't get things mixed up, so I put a black line over there and a black line over there, and R and B, so I knew that red and black were on which side. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, you don't need to watch this in the video, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to unscrew these 4 screws. I'm going to go take the power supply board, I'm going to mount it back in here, plug in the cables, and we'll continue the video from there. Check that out. Power supply board is mounted. 2 cables on the left are plugged in. The power red and black wire are plugged in. All I've got to do now is put the stand back on it, plug in the case wire that goes from the switch panel to the main board here, and then put the screws in there, and we'll plug this sucker in and see if it's going to fix this thing for $4.25, or if I just wasted my... Okay, I'm back. Here's the power cord. I have no idea if this is going to work or not. It took a while to screw the case back together. Make sure I didn't strip any of the threads on the screws. No fire yet. The unit's plugged in. Got a red light. And try the power switch. When I tried the power switch before, nothing happened. So if nothing happens now, then this video's been an incredible waste of time. And well, what can I say? I'm hoping this is going to work. Here's the power switch. Let's get it on the green, on the red thing. It should turn green if it powers up, but if the screen doesn't power up, then this did not fix it. Okay, we got a green light. We got a green light, and we have nothing on the screen right now. So maybe this was a big waste of time. Hey, this is... Oh, whoa! I see no signal over here. I see there's no signals bouncing around. I just fixed this damn TV, son of a bitch. Let's click on... There's a menu. Let me see if I can get a menu. Menu. I just fixed the TV set for $4.25. And that, my friends, is an incredibly awesome video. I am very happy this worked out. You can hear it in my voice, I'm sure. Yeah, this was a lucky repair, a cheap repair. Let's see. VGA, those are different sources. VGA, video, HDMI, HDMI 2, S-video. Hey, successful video. All right, this has been my unexpected, unplanned 5-minute video on how to fix a TV set, and hopefully it works, and it was fairly successful. As I said, usually it's a power supply problem, not always. This worked out good, and for a few dollars, it was worth taking a chance. Make sure when you open up the TV set, you don't touch wires that you don't know what you're touching, that might have high voltage that will kill you. I wasn't being careful. I ended up yanking the 4 screws out of this bottom stand inside the unit, but I screwed it back in. Everything's fine, and there was a wire connecting this panel to the board. I didn't see it as I pulled, and it ended up yanking the connector out of the board. But the connector was fine. I just bent it back in, and here we go. A working television set that would have ended up in the trash. If this went to a shop, they probably would have charged a couple $100. Much of that would have been a rip-off, because you can buy these things much cheaper nowadays. So, hey, I'm going to post this, and hopefully it helps somebody. Make sure you watch my other videos. That's it.